KWTV News 9 and OG&E are proud to present Weather Safety 2. Be prepared to weather the storm.
Hey, this thing is just tearing things up. There's the updraft.
Oklahoma's changing weather, the building storms, the thunder, the lightning, the wind, the ice and snow. The power of Oklahoma's weather deserves a healthy dose of respect, awe, admiration, and planning. And it's very important that you plan for stormy weather long before it happens. From the News 9 Weather Center, I'm Gary England. You know, keeping you and your family safe during our sometimes wild weather is my #1 priority. And that's why News 9 is teaming up with OG&E to bring you Weather Safety 2. Be prepared to weather the storm. During the next few minutes, we'll show you how to prepare yourself before adverse weather hits your area and how to stay safe during the storm. We'll also help you understand how OG&E works to clean up and restore power after a storm has moved through. Storm warnings come any time of the day or night, at any time of the year. Of course, most Oklahoma tornadoes occur in the spring, but you really need to be prepared year-round for the impact of our varied weather. Just like many parts of our country, we experience tornadoes, lightning, straight-line damaging winds, floods, and winter storms. That's reason enough for you to maintain a storm safety kit that covers all phases of Oklahoma's weather, and of course helps you and your family weather the storm. Start early gathering up the things you'll need so you'll know exactly where to find them when an emergency occurs. First aid kits, flashlights, extra batteries, food and bottled water, a battery-powered radio so you can listen to storm warnings if the power goes out, a fully charged cell phone. Keep these in a handy place. Even consider storing them where your family will be taking shelter during severe weather. Remember to grab blankets and pillows too. They protect you from flying debris. Or when the heat goes out during a winter ice storm, they'll keep you warm. Make sure you know where to find your kids' bike helmets. We learned from the May 3rd tornadoes that bike helmets can give your kids great protection from flying debris during a tornado. Some other good things to keep in your safe spot: games to keep the kids occupied and to take their minds away from the storm. Headphones are also great for the kids. They help block out the scary sounds of thunder and wind noise during severe weather. Another valuable tool to help you is a NOAA weather radio. It can be easily programmed county by county. The weather radio alerts you to severe weather watches and warnings day and night. It is a valuable source of information that should be used in conjunction with television and radio weather warnings. There's a tornado warning for parts of central Oklahoma. You should take your immediate tornado precautions.
Kurt, there's a tornado warning. Come on, kids, let's go to the center of the house.
Being prepared also means understanding what the various weather announcements mean. A severe thunderstorm, tornado, or flash flood watch is a statement that the possibility of adverse weather may occur within a fairly large area, sometime within a specified several-hour period, usually 4 to 6 hours.
There you go.
When a watch is in effect, you should continue with your normal activities, but certainly stay alert for the possibility of threatening weather. With situations that arise from severe thunderstorms, a warning means that severe damaging conditions exist. For example, a tornado is on the ground moving your way.
Hurry.
When a warning is issued for your location, you should immediately take the proper safety precautions. Usually such a warning is for a small area for about a 1-hour period unless it concerns flooding. In that case, the warning may be in effect for several hours. High wind warnings cover large areas for several hours, and they can cause widespread, long-duration problems. Most winter weather watches and warnings are for large areas and are sometimes in effect for a day or two. Ice and snowstorms can block roads and cause massive power outages and may result in long periods where normal activities are at a standstill. So now you and your family know the difference between a watch and a warning. You're also now aware of what should be in your storm safety kit. What's next? Well, it's the plan. A plan for tornadoes and damaging winds.
Amy, come on, sweetie. There's a tornado warning. We need to get in the shelter. Here's your flashlight.
In the event of a tornado or straight-line damaging winds, the low-ground shelter or a safe room is best. Most folks have neither. So here is what you do. Choose a location on the lowest level of your home, a spot that puts as many walls as possible between you and the outside walls. Preferably, this would be in the center of your home, in a closet or a bathroom. If that is not available, choose a closet or a bathroom on an east or a north wall. And yes, be sure and have your storm safety kit with you. Also, you should test your plan with a family tornado drill a couple of times a year. That way, everyone in your family will know what to do. If and when the real thing ever happens, make sure your children, your spouse, and you put on helmets. During a recent major tornado, 20% of the injuries were critical head injuries. Also, shatter-resistant goggles will significantly reduce the risk of eye damage. Put the children in the bathtub and get in on top of them. Boys wear long-sleeve shirts, full-length pants, durable shoes, and wrap up in pillows and blankets. Two places one should never be when a tornado strikes are in a vehicle or under an overpass, seeking shelter up under the girders. Both are very bad choices. If you have time, drive at a right angle to the tornado. If that is not possible, take shelter at the lowest level you can find. Even that is a poor situation in which you find yourself. Lightning comes from thunderstorms. No place is absolutely safe from lightning. However, some places are safer than others. Large enclosed structures, homes, and larger buildings tend to be much safer than smaller or open structures.
What are you doing? Hey, it's lightning outside. I gotta go, alright? Alright, bye.
When lightning is around, avoid use of the telephone, taking a shower, washing your hands, doing dishes, or any contact with conductive surfaces with exposure to the outside, such as a metal door or window frames, electrical wiring, telephone wiring, cable TV wiring, and plumbing. In general, fully enclosed metal vehicles such as cars, trucks, buses, vans, fully enclosed farm vehicles with windows rolled up provide good shelter from lightning. But avoid contact with metal or conducting surfaces outside or inside the vehicle.
Look the slide. Ready? Look the slide.
If you're outside and lightning is around, you should avoid high places and open fields, and isolated trees, unprotected gazebos, rain or picnic shelters, baseball dugouts, communication towers, flagpoles, light poles, bleachers, metal or wood, metal fences, convertibles, golf carts, and water. And that includes lakes, swimming pools, and rivers. Now, if you're outside and a thunderstorm is in the vicinity, you may feel the hair on your body start to tingle. That means you're about to be struck by lightning. Don't run. Just drop to the ground and squat with your head between your knees. That's the best position. Flash flooding is a direct product of numerous and continuous showers and thunderstorms. If you're indoors, turn on your battery-operated radio or television, and you'll get the latest emergency information. Make sure you have your pre-assembled storm safety kit, and if told to evacuate, do so immediately. If you're outdoors, go to high ground and stay there. Avoid walking through any floodwaters. If it is moving swiftly, even water 6 inches deep may sweep you off your feet. If you're in a car and you come to a flooded area, turn around and go the other way. Never drive through water that is running across the road. If your car stalls, get out immediately and go to higher ground. Many fatalities have occurred from attempts to move stalled vehicles. Winter weather, although not violent, is a serious threat. Knowing what to do is once again vital. Avoid overexertion. Cold weather itself, without any physical exertion, puts an extra strain on the heart. If you add this to the strain of heavy physical activity such as shoveling snow, pushing an automobile, or even walking too fast and too far, you risk damaging your body. Dress warmly in loose-fitting, layered, lightweight clothing. Outer garments should be tightly woven and water repellent. Wear a hat. Protect your face and cover your mouth to protect your lungs from the very cold air. Wear mittens instead of gloves. They allow your fingers to move freely in contact with one another and will keep your hands much warmer. Watch for frostbite and other symptoms of cold weather exposure. Frostbite causes a loss of feeling and a white or pale appearance in your extremities, such as fingers, toes, tips of the nose, earlobes. If such symptoms are detected, get medical attention immediately. Do not rub with snow or ice. This does not help the condition and in fact will make it worse. Keep yourself and your clothes dry. Change wet socks and all other wet clothing as quickly as possible to prevent the loss of body heat. Wet clothing loses all of its insulating value and transmits heat very rapidly. The storm clouds have cleared, and whether it's wind, rain, hail, or a full-blown tornado, there are precautions that you need to take if your home or neighborhood has been damaged by the weather. Safety should always be your #1 concern when cleaning up debris and surveying damage. One of the most common effects is downed power lines and power outages. We talked to the experts at OG&E about the safest way to handle power lines in your area and how they get the power back on after a storm.
Gary, this is our customer call center. This is where, when our customers call us, this is where they come in.
This is where I call.
This is where you call. That door should open.
Okay.
There we go. This is where it all happens.
You know, my power goes off too.
That's right. Mine too.
You know, and the building we're in, the room we're in, I have called here.
Right. When a storm leaves the state, leaves the area, what it leaves oftentimes is power outages. And that's when the calls start coming in. And when those calls come in, this is where they're coming. Today is a quiet day, but normally this room is brimful of activity, during a storm anyway, brimful of activity, taking customer calls. Sometimes tens of thousands of calls are coming in.
Now what happens when I call in?
Well, you know, I think a lot of people think we automatically know if your house is without power, and we don't. The fact is we don't.
I thought you did.
No, we don't. It takes a call. You call in, we then know that you're without power, but the way our system works is that as that information is entered into the computer and other calls start coming in, if you're out, your neighbor's out, the computer's starting to diagnose the problems, and it helps us send our crews to where the problem really exists. It's looking for the common denominator, what's causing your house to be out as well as the house down the street. So it's an efficiency issue. It helps us send the crews where they need to be. I tell you what, most customers understand. They're frustrated that they're without power, but for the most part they understand and are very cooperative, and that helps these folks a lot. You know, another question we get though, is we get a question of why do I have to talk to a computer? That happens too.
Yeah.
When we get the big storms in, the big ones where you have tens of thousands of customers without power, we don't have enough people to take all the calls at once. Well, we have a computer system that can take 1,800 calls at the same time. So that's getting more information into the system and gets our crews out into the field quicker and get your power back on faster. Well, we were in the call center, now we're in the control room.
Okay.
And what they're doing here is they're monitoring the company's transmission system. These are maps up here of various circuits that we have throughout the company. These are just a handful of many, many we have. We serve a good part of the state of Oklahoma and a bit of western Arkansas, and they're monitoring the system here.
How do you determine who gets what service when?
Well, we have a system. We have a method. We don't just send people out into the field haphazardly, because then it would take forever to get everybody's power back on. We have a plan, and the plan is we prioritize public safety, public service things first. Police, fire, hospitals, the media. Those are the things we try to get back on first for the public good. So once we get the public safety issues taken care of, then we try to send our crews to where they can get the most people back up the fastest. In other words, if we can send a crew to get 1,000 people back up, or send that same crew somewhere to get 10 people back up, we're going to send them to the place where they can get 1,000 back up first. That's how we work the storm, from the big down to the little. And that way we get it back, everybody up the fastest we can.
For the guy that's getting a little bit impatient that his power's not up, does it help him, would it help him to call again?
That's a great question, and really the answer is yes. Now, you don't need to call every 15 minutes. That doesn't do anybody any good. In fact, it gets in the way. But if you've called in and hours have gone by, or in some cases days in these bad ice storms that we've had, yeah, it's a good idea to call in. Just make certain that your information's in the system. Another important point is sometime in these big restoration efforts, it's not unusual to let somebody fall through the cracks, and we don't want that to happen. So if enough time's gone by, you don't think your information's in, it doesn't hurt at all to call in.
Paul, I know this had to have happened. Guy's out there, freezer full of meat. He wants to know when the electricity's coming back on. How difficult is it to tell him?
Well, that sounds like a very simple question, and frankly, it's the hardest question we have asked of us, is when will my power be back on? When it's a normal storm, a thunderstorm comes through like we see a lot in the spring, generally we can tell you most everybody's power will be back on 4 hours or less. That's fairly typical. But you get one of these ice storms come through, or a tornado, or a large-scale windstorm where the damage is massive and widespread, it's very, very difficult with the technology we have today to be able to say, your house will be back up at 1 p.m. tomorrow. We just can't answer that. We generally can give you an idea that this section of town, we've got crews working in it, and we think power will be back up within the next 2 hours, 4 hours. We can give you general ideas, but not specific. We're working on that, and that's something we're trying to get better at.
You have two people living side by side, two houses. One house has power, one house doesn't. One person's upset, the other one's not. What's the situation there?
That's happened to every one of us. In fact, it happens to me. My house will be without power. The guy across the street, his lights are shining, and it's frustrating. The thing is, neighborhoods are built at different times, houses are built at different times, and houses can be on different circuits, they can be on different transformers. So while the system that's feeding your house is up and running, the guy across the street, he may have a transformer or something that's affecting his house. So that's why, it's just the systems you're on different systems.
No preferential treatment there?
No preferential treatment there at all.
Let's take an example. Say we had a widespread power outage.
Right.
And I see an OG&E truck go down my street, or working next door.
Right.
Should I approach them, ask them when mine will be up, or what should I do?
Our advice is to leave the crews alone for a variety of reasons. One, they have assignments, and again, we're approaching this outage in a very methodical fashion. So by you distracting them, they're probably not going to be able to help you anyway, and you're just slowing down the process. The second thing is safety, and this is really foremost in our minds, is number one concern, is the safety of the crew and your safety. Typically, if they're working around dangerous down lines or something that you really don't have any business being around them as they're working. Secondly, they're working with a very dangerous situation, and it could be a distraction to them. So it's really in everybody's best interest to leave the crews alone where they're working. Well, this is a strip of power line here, and what you'll notice is, first of all, it's not insulated.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that.
A lot of people think that those lines are insulated, and they're not. And when they fall down in your backyard or even up on the pole, you need to stay away from these things because they're carrying a lot of power, and they're very, very deadly, very dangerous. Second thing is look how small it is. They come in different sizes, but this is a fairly small size line. That still means that that doesn't mean that they're not deadly. They're still very dangerous. You need to stay away from them.
How many volts would a line like this carry?
Charlie, how many would this carry?
This
7,200, you think? 7,200 volts probably. That's enough, Gary. That'll hurt you. That'll hurt you. Another thing is when these lines are down, I think a lot of people think if they're energized, you're going to see them hopping and popping around like in the movies.
Yeah.
And that does happen, but not always.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is if you see a down line, stay away from it. Just assume that it's energized and that's dangerous and stay away from it. And that includes your children and your pets. Keep everybody away from it and call OG&E.
You know, Paul, I've seen some that look like they're insulated. They're black.
Well, we do have some lines that will have insulation around them, but it's really typically for the one from the pole to your house. Still assume, though, whether it's insulated or not, assume that it's dangerous, just stay away from it. That's the best advice. Don't take any chances with these because they can be deadly.
What if you're caught in a storm, you're in your vehicle, power line drapes over your car, what do you do?
You know, that happens more often than you would think, and the best advice is stay in your car. So many people have cell phones today. Call for help, 911, honk your horn, whatever you need to do to flag down help. Roll down your window, though, and tell people to stay away from you and the car. Stay in the car. That's the best advice.
So they won't necessarily see sparks.
Not necessarily. You might think you're safe, but assume that you're not. Stay in the car, and as long as you're in the car, you're at least somewhat insulated, and that's the best place to be.
Great advice. Thanks for watching Weather Safety 2. Be prepared to weather the storm. From all of us at KWTV News 9 and OG&E, we hope that this helps keep you and your family safe.